Now, typically on this channel, we focus on negativity, but there are some things that are actually good in wrestling, right? Some of those things have happened recently. Number one, the expansion of damage control. Now, I know you're thinking, hater, that's women's wrestling. You don't like women's wrestling. I don't care about women's wrestling or men's wrestling. I care about good wrestling. And when I say good wrestling, I don't mean the things that happen in the ring, right? Good wrestling is based on storylines. So, whereas Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and Asuka are irrelevant separately, together they can be a faction of annoyed and angry Japanese wrestlers who want to do more, right? That should be a faction already, right? You have Nakamura and Tozawa trade wins, right? I know you're thinking, oh, Tozawa's low on the card. He shouldn't be. He's better than a lot of the wrestlers they got. You have them trade wins, then eventually they shake hands and they come to an agreement. Wait a second. Why isn't every week we're wrestling each other in the undercard, right? They joined Asuka, Kairi Sane, and the other one whose name is Io Shirai, right? They join them and they form, I don't know, All Japan stable. I don't know, call it something clever. It doesn't matter, right? You form a stable, and these wrestlers have, by virtue of the stable, have a purpose, right? And a reason to be together, right? Kind of like the LWO, but with an actual goal in mind. The LWO has just been a complete disaster because the entire premise is we're family. Somos familia. Really? Word? Then how is it that I could completely see Santos Escobar from the first day? I'm like, oh, this is going to end with Santos Escobar betraying Rey Mysterio. And it's probably going to end with everyone betraying Rey Mysterio and being led by Santos and Carlito. That's probably what's going to happen, right? It's so obvious. Rey Mysterio, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but as a character, he's booked like he's extremely stupid. Rey Mysterio, all of his storylines, virtually all of his storylines, involve him being betrayed, right? It's like, you'd think he'd learn by now. Oh, Batista betrayed me. Eddie Guerrero betrayed me. My own son betrayed me. Edge betrayed me 100 times, right? Chavo betrayed me. Everyone betrays Rey Mysterio, and it's consistent with his character because he's presented as an idiot who doesn't realize that he is very betrayable, right? So you have to have some sort of logic. Damage Control does this very well. Now, I think that the logical conclusion of Damage Control is Bayley gets ousted, but there is a twist there, right? While it seemed for the longest time that Bayley would be the one to turn on Io Shirai, and then also, what's her name? Dakota Kai, right? It seems like they're going to pull a nice little swerve, right? Asuka and the two Japanese girls, and maybe Dakota Kai, who knows, they're going to form an alliance, and they're going to be the ones that eventually turn on Bayley, right? Even if they don't. If this becomes a 5-woman faction, that's unprecedented, right? And there is potential there. There is potential there to be almost like a bloodline, right? Where they capture all the titles, right? They get the NXT title, they get the tag titles, they get the NXT tag titles, they get the other title. That's cool, right? That's cool because it gives the characters some purpose, right? Great example. Kairi Sane as the Pirate Princess is a ridiculous gimmick and it's extremely stupid. Kairi Sane as this brooding weirdo, right, who is here with some sort of purpose is much more compelling, right? That's one good thing that's happening in wrestling. Another good thing is one of my new favorite guys in NXT, Lexis King, right? Everyone was talking about Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. I don't see it at all with Trick Williams. People are like, this guy is going to be a star. No, he won't. You heard it here first, as usual. Trick Williams is never going to be a star. They're like, oh, he's got everything. No, he doesn't. He's not good in the ring, right? He's not entertaining, and he's not charismatic. So what is it that he brings to the table? He's a big, strong guy. That's about it, right? That's actually the most glaring thing about him because they have him talk with Carmelo, and he's like a foot and a half taller than Carmelo, and I'm like, I'm supposed to believe that Carmelo Hayes is going to be anything more than a Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander, Jack Gallagher type? He won't. He's not going to be any of those things, right? Trick Williams as well. You might as well just put them in a tag team and just make them a tag team at least on SmackDown or on Raw and give them something, right? In these segments, the only one that has stood out is the guy that stood out for many years, and that is Brian Pillman Jr., who in AEW was clearly someone that should have been pushed, right? He's clearly someone that is more entertaining and whose ceiling is much higher than someone like Jay White or way higher than someone like Juice Robinson, right? He is better than them, but he was treated like a jobber. Now he goes to NXT and he's the most entertaining guy in the segment, right? The entire Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams scenario is only interesting because Lexis King, Brian Pillman, is there to make a difference, right? Otherwise, I don't care who attacked Trick Williams, right? It doesn't matter to me if it's going to be Carmelo Hayes or not, because either it is or it isn't. If it is, that's a generic tag team betrayal, and if it isn't, that's a generic, we thought it was a tag team betrayal. Their story has been handled the incorrect way from the beginning, right? If anything, Trick gets attacked, Carmelo gets attacked, it doesn't matter. The other one should be on the tail and investigate what's happening to their friend, right? Anything other than that leads us to one storyline. Oh, there's friction between the tag team. I'm sick and tired of there's friction between the tag team. There's friction between the stable, right? That's why the bloodline was horrible, in my opinion. Very overrated, right? Oh, wow, who could have seen this coming? One of the people in the bloodline was going to get angry. Wow, who could it be? Oh, it was Jey Uso, it turned out. Right? Everyone should have seen that coming from day one. The same way that everyone should have seen Santos Escobar betraying Rey Mysterio coming, right? You know Rey Mysterio is not going to be the one that turns heel. So Santos Escobar, the second guy in command, who's getting this weird pseudo push, even though he sucks and he's boring, right? He's going to get the rub, and he's going to be the one that gets probably the victory at this point over Rey Mysterio. I hope not, personally, right? The LWO has been a complete failure. But there are good things, like I said, right? There are good things. There are people, right, waiting for an opportunity, right? On SmackDown, I think, or was it on Raw? I don't remember. On one of the shows, we keep seeing Dragon Lee versus Cedric Alexander. Now, this is as throwaway as it gets, right? And I'm not saying that Dragon Lee or Cedric Alexander should get a push. But I'm saying this. If you're going to give someone a push, why not give it to Cedric Alexander, who I think is a prime candidate for a push because he's relatively young. He never botches, right? He's got good emotions when he wrestles, right? There's something there. Now, I'm not saying Cedric Alexander is going to be a main eventer, but would it be so bad if Cedric Alexander got a mid-card title run? Would it be so bad if he was like a Kofi Kingston-esque guy? Not with a championship, but someone like that. Another one, Xavier Woods. What are they doing with him? Periodically, Xavier Woods gets this boost to his career, like he wins the King of the Ring or does something that ends with nothing, right? Why isn't he being pushed? Next, Braun Breaker. Why isn't he on the main roster? Why in the blue hell do I turn on the main roster and I see people like Jimmy Uso, but Braun Breaker doesn't have a spot on the main roster? It baffles me to this day, right? This is something that can be seen again and again in AEW as well, right? There is no follow-through. You see someone, you're like, that guy's interesting or that girl's interesting, and there is no follow-through, right? Everything is predictable, hacky, and down the middle, right? Did it really matter that Tiffany Stratton lost the title to Becky Lynch before Lyra Valkyrie became champion? I don't care who's the NXT Women's Champion because it's a meaningless throwaway title. It's completely useless. Everyone in NXT becomes NXT Women's Champion, right? You have to be able to take advantage of the positives and the benefits that you have within your roster and within the construction that is your universe, right? The reality is this. You have someone like Noam Dar, who's been in this company for God knows, 10 years at this point, right? Stealing money every chance he gets. He's in a group of jobbers. None of these guys are ever going to amount to anything, right? They should be immediately released. Here's another example of garbage. The Bobby Lashley Street Profits thing. It's been several months now, and I still don't understand what the hell they're doing. Is it just three black guys banding together? Is it just, Hurt Business again? Because we've seen that before, and it was pretty entertaining, but they stopped it for a reason. So you're going to just do it again, but instead of Cedric Alexander and Shelton, you're going to have, fucking Montez, who's a comedy character, and Angelo Hawkins, whatever his name is, who I have no idea why that guy has a job, right? That's what's going to happen now? That's not good enough, right? Lashley has shown that he's not good enough at being the leader of a faction, right? The entire premise of Hurt Business was MVP is the leader, and everyone else does what he says, and that's why there's success, right? If that's not happening, then I don't really see the point of why would the Street Profits listen to Lashley, right? It's not like Lashley is just considered this great wrestling mind, right? He's not even considered to be an intelligent guy like MVP is, right? Because MVP is supposed to be this slick talking, good on the mic guy, right? Lashley's just a big, strong dude who destroys people, right? So what is Montez Ford going to learn from Lashley when he's 1/4 the size of Lashley, right? Lashley, this feud should end, whatever it is, a faction, should end immediately. It should end with this. The Street Profits disappointed one more time. BFAB joins. Lashley spears all three of them, puts them all in the Hurt Lock, stacks them up, and walks away. right? That's how this should end. But instead, they keep wasting months and months and months, and it's going to lead to absolutely nothing, right? Best case scenario, Street Profits become tag team champions, but they've already been tag team champions. So what are we getting here, right? And lastly, the most unforgivable dropping of the ball, the OC, right? First of all, they put Mia Yim in there, which is a complete waste of time, right? And then secondly, they're never on TV, right? I get it. AJ Styles is the dude, and AJ Styles has been injured here and there. So, I'm not saying like, Gallows should be, in the ring. But why is it that the Good Brothers, right, just Gallows and Anderson, why aren't they in the tag team scene, right? Why is it that Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso get title shot after title shot, but real tag teams like the Good Brothers don't, right? Are we really to believe that Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are a better tag team than the Good Brothers? No, they're not. They shouldn't be, at least, right? So that being said, we've got a few things. Damage Control, Lexus King in NXT. That's really about it. Honestly, everything else is just garbage. And in AEW, there's a few good ones too. Obviously, we have Edge and Christian. They're like the two most interesting guys in AEW just by virtue of who they are. Then we've got a few other people that, quite honestly, I'm getting kind of tired on, right? You got like Powerhouse Hobbs. You see always going to be the lackey. Is he always going to be the lackey of someone else? How many times do we have to see Powerhouse Hobbs say, I'm not the lackey anymore in his actions, right? And then go back to being the lackey, right? Him, Wardlow, like, I don't know what's going on there. He's like, I don't want to, become the champion until, like, I can earn it. Shut up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, be real, right? Wardlow, this is like a complete drop ball, as well as his Powerhouse Hobbs. But they do have some potential, right? You have people in there that have some charisma and some presence and some potential. But instead, we're wasting our time with the Young Bucks. We're wasting our time with MJF. And we're wasting our time, perhaps worse, with Jay White and Juice Robinson. The Gun Club, the Ass Boys, I can tolerate them. They're entertaining. But that's about it. Cucks.